when I first met you and I would interview you, you wouldn't even let me, if we even talked about your career in the military, like you just said, I know, I saw that dirt. I was wondering if I should tell you, but it kind of made you look tough.
I was shooting earlier.
Made you look tough.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even let us say you were a SEAL.
Yeah, that was
Like-
during the phase of 2007, 6 to 2010, because I was active duty. And I really didn't want to talk about it, and I really didn't want it to be out there while I was active duty. Even when I got out, I still wanted to keep it very low profile and not talk about it much. Now I'm more, in the past 3 or 4 years, I'm way more comfortable with it being known, but I'm not more comfortable with like diving into it or telling war stories or trying to leverage it or profit off of it. You'll never see me lead on my Instagram account in the bio or in the title with former Navy SEAL. You'll never see me like leverage that because that's just how I've chosen to represent myself with it.
I used to think you were cool for that.
Now you don't?
I just don't, when I don't, I understand a little bit of the code that you shared with me, the silent professional, but you did it and you earned it. It's like, let's look at Matt Fraser. He has this great success.
But that's very
and
different.
now he's leveraging it.
But
You did a great thing.
But he did it in an area, in a world where being public and being in a sport with it was acceptable and the norm. I did it in a world where we were talking about and understood what it meant to be a silent professional, and we would joke around and talk about, oh, you're going to write a book when you get out, aren't you? And we'd make fun of those guys. And we knew a lot of the things we did or were going to do or trained for or could potentially do, we could never talk about or should never talk about or never air out. And so I was in an environment, you can't compare me to Matt Fraser on this one.
But here's the thing, Matt did it for himself. I have no issue with that. All the
Matt
games
did
athletes,
what for himself?
all the games athletes do it for themselves. They're trying to win.
Yeah, but it's a public sport. It's very different
But
than
you did it for other people, so why can't you talk about it? And I think
because I don't want to. So
I'm okay with you saying this, but you're saying it's just the code and it's normal. I'm trying to figure out if there's any rationale behind it, or if it's just like, hey, football players.
Some of it is classified. So there is that. You know what I mean? And so there's that level. And another thing is like, you're right to the extent of like.
Like we want to hear it.
I don't want to talk about it. There's guys to my left and right who I don't want to betray, that I went to war with, and I don't want to talk about this stuff to lose their trust. Some of the teams and some of the places I've worked before, I still get invited back to the reunions, and I'm still close with some of the guys, and that means a lot to me, and that matters. And as soon as if I crossed a certain line, I would lose that, and I don't want to lose that.
Okay. So if you don't necessarily give a fuck what bad people say about you in the world, you do care about the one group of people you do care about is your SEAL brothers.
Yeah, that's a good way to wrap this discussion up, this part of the discussion.
When you were a kid, did you carry a comb in your back pocket?
When I was what?
Did you ever carry a comb in your back pocket as
No,
a kid?
because my hair doesn't like slick back like that.
Did you ever carry a brush in your back pocket?
No.
Did you ever brush or comb your hair a lot?
No.
Never.
My hair always like does this thing where it falls forward or goes to the side, and I really did want it to go back, but it never would, so I just let it go.
Like a Garrett Fisher type?
Yeah, not a Garrett Fisher type.
So were you ever preoccupied with your looks as a kid? Like in the 7th or 8th grade, would you be like, hey, there's a girl I like and I want to be dressed good and put on deodorant?
No, I wasn't preoccupied with my looks, but I wasn't also confident as a kid. I didn't have much.
Because that is one thing I definitely noticed about you over the 15 years. I'm like, this guy doesn't fucking care. Like he'll come out and he's like, you just never cared.
What do you mean by that?
It was indicative of what I imagine a bunch of dudes hanging out together who haven't showered in a year. Like after a while, like it's all to the wayside. Like I don't care. Like like when I was in the 8th grade, if I wore a hat to school and someone took my hat off, I would be fucking devastated because someone would see my hat head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're if you're in the Navy, that's absurd.
Yeah, for sure.
That's absurd.